You know Venice, right? That picture in your head. Gondolas, canals, just incredibly romantic.
Totally. But there's this specific thing every April 25th, the Festa del Bocolo.
The bocolo. Okay, tell me more.
It's all about a single red rosebud. That's the bocolo. Venetian men give one to the important women in their lives.
Important women like wives.
Fiancés?
Yep, wives, fiancés, but also mothers, sisters, daughters, the women who matter.
Ah, okay, so it's wider than just romance.
Exactly, and it's an old tradition, like really old.
Yeah.
Deeply connected to Venice's whole story.
In April 25th, that date rings a bell for Italy generally, doesn't it?
It does. It's Liberation Day nationally, marking the end of the Nazi occupation. Huge deal.
Right.
But for Venice specifically, it's also the feast day of St. Mark the Evangelist, their patron saint.
Okay, so a double significance. That's interesting. Our goal here, then, is to kind of unpack this bocolo tradition for everyone listening.
Definitely. And you really can't understand Venice without understanding St. Mark's importance. His symbol, the winged lion, it's everywhere. Seriously, on buildings, flags.
Everywhere. There's even a legend that an angel appeared to him, way back, and basically said this lagoon area would be his final resting place.
Wow. Okay, so his connection goes deep.
Yep.
And then there's the story about his relics.
Oh, yeah. 9th century, some Venetian merchants, Rustico and Bono, they pull off this, frankly, audacious plan.
To get his relics from Alexandria? How?
Well, the story goes they hid the body under layers of pork.
Pork. Seriously.
That's right.
To deter the Muslim guards.
That's the legend. And their servant, a guy named Basilio, was apparently key to the whole operation.
That's quite a tale. So getting the relics back was a huge moment.
Absolutely massive. It cemented St. Mark as Venice's protector. They built the Basilica di San the Basilica specifically to house him. It became the spiritual and civic heart.
And April 25th marks
his death. Yes, his martyrdom. So that became the main day to honor him. Still today, there are solemn masses and vespers in the basilica.
Okay, so St. Mark is central. Now, how does the rosebud, the bocolo, connect to all this? You mentioned legends.
Right. So the most famous origin story is, well, a classic tragic romance.
Always a good story.
Isn't it? It involves Maria, who was a judge's daughter, so nobility, and Tancredi, a commoner. A troubadour, some say.
Ah, the classic forbidden love. The Doge probably wasn't too happy.
Not at all. Disapproved completely. But Maria, she had a plan. She suggested Tancredi go fight for Emperor Charlemagne.
To prove his worth. Gain some standing.
Exactly. Earn respect, legitimacy, and he did fight, incredibly bravely, apparently. But he was mortally wounded.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the story goes he fell near some white rose bushes.
White roses. I sense where this is going.
With his last strength, he plucked a white rosebud, but it got stained completely red by his blood. He gave it to his friend Orlando. Yes, that Orlando from the epic poems To Take Back to Maria.
So Orlando delivered this blood-red rosebud.
He did. On April 24th, Maria received it, understood it was Tancredi's final act of love, and she died the very next day, April 25th, clutching that rose.
That's intense. So that sacrifice, that devotion, is meant to be the root of giving the red rosebud.
That's the most popular version, yeah. But there's actually another story, sort of an alternative origin.
Okay.
Remember Basilio, the servant who helped with St. Mark's relics?
Yeah, the pork guy.
Right. Well, his reward, according to this legend, wasn't just gratitude. He was given a rose bush taken from near St. Mark's tomb in Alexandria.
A holy rose bush.
Kind of. He planted it on Giudecca, one of the islands. But then things get complicated.
How so?
He divided his property between his two sons, and the rose bush ended up marking the boundary. The sons started feuding bitterly, and the rose bush, it withered. Stopped blooming completely.
Oh, like mirroring the family conflict.
Exactly. But then, years later, guess what happens? A young woman from one side of the family falls in love with a young man from the other.
On April 25th.
You got it. On April 25th, love blossoms across the feud. And at that very moment, the rose bush miraculously bursts back to life, covered in beautiful red buds.
No way.
Yeah. So the young man gives one of these red bocoli to the young woman, and it symbolizes not just their love, but the end of the feud, reconciliation, peace.
So two very different stories. One about tragic, passionate love, the other about peace and healing divisions.
Right. Which means the symbolism of the bocolo itself is pretty rich.
It seems like it. Primarily, it's about deep, true love, like Tancredi's. The red color is key there. Passion, sacrifice, lifeblood.
But pulling from the Basilio story, it's also about peace, reconciliation, love, overcoming conflict, fidelity too.
And the single bud, does that mean something specific?
People often say it represents singular devotion, you are my one true love, that kind of sentiment.
That's lovely. And you mentioned earlier it's given more widely now.
It is. While the romantic root is strong, it's broadened to include mothers, sisters, daughters, a general appreciation for the important women in one's life. It also became a quiet symbol of Venetian identity, of cultural perseverance, especially during times like the Napoleonic occupation.
So if I were in Venice today, April 25th,
You'd see it everywhere. Flower stalls pop up, selling just single red rosebuds, men walking around carrying one to deliver. It's very visible.
any modern twists on it?
Yeah, definitely. There's this cool thing called Una Rosa per Venezia, a rose for Venice. It's like performance art in Piazza San Marco, where hundreds of people gather to form the shape of a giant rosebud.
Wow, a human rosebud.
Exactly. Even historic spots like Cafe Florian often give out rosebuds, and there are usually charity stalls selling them too.
Hmm.
Oh, and the city also gives out the Premio Festa di San Marco, like civic awards, on the same day.
It sounds like a really vibrant day. Now, you can't talk venison traditions without food, right?
Right.
Is there a special dish?
Oh, absolutely. Risi bisi. Rice and peas.
Simple? Sounds spring-like.
It is, made with specific Violone nano rice and fresh spring peas. It's not just peasant food, though. Historically, it was the first course served to the Doge at the official St. Mark's Day state banquet.
Doge's first course. Okay, that elevates it.
Right. There might be some Byzantine influence there, too. Symbolically, the rice means abundance, fertility, and the peas represent spring, freshness, the bounty of the season.
So even the food ties into the themes of the day.
Perfectly. Though now it's more often made at home, connecting families to the tradition.
So pulling it all together, this Festa del Bocolo on St. Mark's Day,
Yeah.
it's more than just giving a flower.
Oh, much more. It's a potent mix of Venetian history, faith, legends, love, sacrifice, peace, resilience, freedom, too, linking back to Liberation Day. It's deeply Venetian.
It really feels like a living tradition, not just something for tourists.
Definitely. It resonates for Venetians. Which maybe leaves us with a thought for everyone listening. How do the local traditions and symbols where you live connect you to the history, the real heart of that place? Sometimes these small customs hold centuries of meaning.